back in July last year, or June, July last year. And Trevor's going to talk a little bit more about Telstra Broadcasting Services and what that means. And then also back in June, we announced the formation of Telstra Mining Services, which is effectively looking at the playing in the mining business in regards to the whole technology evolution that's going on in that marketplace. So from a TBS standpoint, we really see this is leveraging the core assets that we have in Telstra, both domestically and our desires and investments that we've got into the international markets. And really what we see is a transformation in regards to moving from what we've been a traditional infrastructure player at the communications portfolio to move more, I guess you would call it, up and down the value chain for the customers. So if we look at it as an example, when we have the customers here for this particular facility, we're talking to announce this, we're sort of talking to more the CEOs, the head of distribution, the head of content and so forth of the media companies versus dealing with historically IT, procurement and so forth in regards to the comms engineering piece of the portfolio. So with these vertical businesses, we want to provide more value-added services that we actually start moving into more the operational technology side. So how we can add more value supporting operational technology and in some ways moving into the workflows of the operational technology side of these businesses, whether it be broadcast media or mining, etc. So we continue to look at where those growth opportunities will be, and we'll be selective as we go forward of where the next investments will be beyond these two verticals and within these verticals. So what we've done so far is initial steps in regards to what we intend to do over the next few years in these vertical plays. So with that, I may hand over to Trev, who's going to sort of talk more about this facility and Telstra Broadcast Services.
Thanks, David. And yeah, let me add my welcome to you all. Great that you could be with us this morning. So for us to share with you a bit about what we're doing at Telstra Broadcast Services, because we've only been formed over the last 12 months. About a year ago, I'll just cast your mind back to the acquisition of Globecast Australia. We acquired that business, which was an exciting time for us because at that time we perhaps did not have as significant a focus on the industry and the operational technology stack as David alluded to. So through the acquisition of Globecast Australia, we've taken the opportunity to group up our other business-to-business focused professional media capabilities, and we'll touch on what they are a little bit later. But grouping that with the Globecast assets and forming Telstra Broadcast Services just over a year ago, or June of last year. So it's been a very exciting 12 months. Obviously, you can see we've been pretty busy with a significant build here, but also just pulling together the portfolio of capabilities and working with our customers who are specifically media-focused customers, either content owners, content producers, broadcasters and operators, both here domestically but also on a global basis. So in forming TBS, what we've really then done is say TBS is now the key vehicle for professional media solutions for that segment of customer. And we're working very closely with our colleagues in our GES business in addressing their entire needs across both the operational technologies in broadcast, but then also the broader offers that Telstra brings to market. So just in terms of I guess, some discussion around the services that we're delivering as Telstra Broadcast. And certainly we are very, very strong in the operational technology. So we're working very closely with broadcasters around delivery of content. And one of our flagship offerings is our digital video network, which is quite familiar in the marketplace. Most of the broadcasters and content owners in Australia are our customers. There's a very vast and expanding network connecting studios, production facilities, and increasingly now venues. So for example, taking sporting content or stadium content back to production facilities, studio facilities for broadcast. Obviously, we're very tightly connected to the transmission facilities that ultimately deliver the content to millions of homes across Australia. Of course, though, not all events are held in pristine venues or locations, and so we also have a fleet of SNG, satellite news gathering trucks and vans and flyaways that we can dispatch to any part of the country. And for example, we just supported an event up in Arnhem Land in just less than a month ago, these are the types of services, and so we're delivering that content back via satellite in the case of SNG. Of course, as David alluded to, global aspirations are key to our future growth. And we are already quite a substantial player in delivery of content in and out of Australia, but we do have a focus, and we will continue to invest more in our global ambitions around delivering content in and out of Asia, from Europe, the UK, and also North America. And we work closely with a couple of existing partners already in different parts of the world, and we continue to invest in those partnerships. Of course, you can't talk about broadcast without talking about digital and OTT, and particularly that is a very key focus for us moving forward. We're working with a number of customers around how they take their content into an online format, but then also how do they monetize their offerings in the marketplace. And then finally, probably a bit of a personal favourite of mine, being a bit of a sports nut, is our GlobeCam offering. And this is a little innovative offering that we have in market. It's basically a wearable miniature camera that is used and being leveraged by sporting bodies, both here domestically but also internationally. And it's often worn by the umpire or the referee to provide a unique on-field point of view perspective. It really, builds out that viewing experience, and many of our sporting customers and broadcasters are taking that up. So rugby league here in Australia, rugby union, Australian rules football, cricket, just to name a few. It's a really exciting product, and we're getting a lot of traction with that product internationally. It's great to see that product was developed here in Australia out of our Melbourne facilities, taking that to a global audience. And I think it's that sort of collaboration that we're really trying to drive at TBS, collaborating with the industry. And it's well documented that this industry, the media industry, has its challenges. It is a challenging revenue environment, particularly with regard to television advertising. There's pressure on the cost base for many of these businesses. And so our customers from this industry are asking us to work with them around innovating more to try and help drive productivity. Let's look at how, as an industry, we can drive scale and then remove some of the duplication in this concept of the media value chain. So from the point of content creation, the camera, through to the distribution to the viewer. If you look through that media value chain, there's clearly market opportunities to address duplication and scale. What is very clear though is that our customers are saying, whilst they want to innovate more, they want to then take some of those savings and drive that investment into more content, either enhancing the quality of the content that they offer or spending more on rights and the like. So that takes us to this facility here, and it's been obviously quite a number of months in the making. It's a significant build to transform to a new technology stack, and at the same time migrate 400 or so permanent channels across into this environment. So a lot of collaboration with the industry and obviously our customers to achieve this. And what we'll do is, I'll just maybe talk a couple of minutes now about what we've got here, and then we'll take you on a bit of a cook's tour of the shop, so to speak. So first of all, here we have our master control room facilities, which provide a lot of monitoring and switching capabilities for our media customers. And this is not uncommon in any typical broadcast facility. Many of you would have seen these types of operations. Perhaps some of the secret sauce of this is how we deliver the technology and the underpinning technologies that deliver this outcome. Also some of the operational services that in terms of how we operate this environment and engage with our customers is also changing over time. Critical to this facility though is the connectivity then that we offer through this facility and have access to. So obviously I spoke about our digital video network and the venue connectivity, our global fibre assets that Telstra has obviously invested in over many years, and our partner networks. As Telstra, we're also fortunate enough to have 3 significant satellite teleports. So up here at Sydney in Oxford Falls, in Ngara over in West Australia, and Stanley up in Hong Kong. Paul and the team have a lot of access in supporting customers for either direct to home or satellite news gathering and the like operations. Digital and OTT, this facility is connected to another substantial Telstra facility here in the Sydney metro area, which offers our substantial OTT head-end infrastructures. And so having that ability to connect these operations and manage that from this centre is critical, certainly critical now, but becomes increasingly critical as part of our growth plans. And then finally, you can't operate this facility without having appropriate staffing levels. And so we have, well, I guess you call them traditional MCR operator staff, 24/7 manned here in the facility, but then separately we also have broadcast and IP technology engineers also manned in this facility 24/7 as well. So that's here on level 2. If we then pop up to level 4, and we will take you up there in a moment, you'll see a significant data centre facility targeted specifically for our media customers. And so you'll see a little bit of a blank canvas up there, and obviously being brand spanking new, that's partly the reason why, but then you'll also see substantial investment that we've already made with the infrastructures to support the business that we have today. So co-location and hosting of media services and capabilities, disaster recovery for offering disaster recovery to our customers who have existing operations today but are looking for DR and backup services. Off-site storage of content, there's substantial opportunity for us to work with customers around that, and emerging media cloud opportunities that are happening in our market, and many of you will be well aware of some of the advances happening in that space. And with that, I think what you'll see as you walk through the facility is that this is a fine example of really large-scale convergence between both traditional broadcast baseband video operations that broadcasters have been operating with for decades, and new ICT delivery models and technology stacks such as cloud and IP protocols. And the merging of those two coming together is very apparent when you walk through this facility. We can offer an end-to-end IP media workflow, but then at the same time, if customers aren't comfortable and want a more evolutionary approach, we're also offering some of the more traditional video baseband technologies as well. And the adaptability across those platforms is critical for our customers, and we're working with them at the pace that the market is demanding around migration to those new technologies. So with that, I might close, and we might just quickly start a tour. We'll do a quick tour, and then we might come back to some Q&A if that's okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And we might just ask Paul, who runs the operation here. Paul's our head of engineering and operations. Just spend a couple of minutes to talk about the MCR, and then we'll go upstairs to the data center.
Cool, thanks, Trev. And again, welcome to everyone, and welcome to our brand new facility that we're very proud of. Over here, sorry. To our brand new facility that we're very, very proud of. Just to give you just a couple of brief sets of figures, if you like, we have about 400 permanent services running through this operation and delivering content to multiple takers, both inside Australia and outside Australia. We do about 20,000 ad hoc events every year through this facility. The design of the operation, as you can see, is it very much looks like a traditional master control for people who have seen a master control before. Lots of screens, lots of monitors. What we're doing is a couple of key things, and we do what we call monitoring by exception. So those screens that are largely black are our key screens. So when a service goes into fault mode or into a hazard mode, it will appear on that screen and the guys will react to it. A lot of the other screens are useful for monitoring and just to keep an eye on things, but in fact those key screens are the screens that are very important to us. So we have that layer of operation. We also then have a network monitoring and control system that sits underneath it for setting up paths, for monitoring, for checking services to make sure they're all okay, and driving those services into the penalty box where required. We have built the facility very much on a hybrid model. So it's designed in terms of new technology, that it's built around an IP infrastructure, very much a core IP infrastructure. The broadcast industry is not quite completely in the IP space yet. So we have a hybrid where we can come in and out of the facility in baseband or compressed format or in IP. And then we sit on a normal common off-the-shelf type enterprise standard IP equipment. But we have definitely given ourselves the ability to migrate services and migrate with the broadcasters. So we operate in a traditional broadcast environment, but we also have probably one of the most advanced IP facilities in the world at this point in time. In terms of the operation, as Trev said, we're staffed 24/7. There are 2 layers of desks here. The front desks are our traditional master control operational team. There are generally 2 guys here at any one time. On weekends, we often staff up with an extra person because it's busy for sport and those busy times. In fact, this weekend will be one of our very busy weekends. Behind, we've also given ourselves scope to grow that if required, but in fact, that's our incident and problem management section as well. So we can manage if there are incidents or issues out of the platform anywhere, we can manage those from here. Within this room, we have another one of these operational facilities. Often we do special events with customers who'd like to be part of the facility, part of the operation. So we can bring them in, they can sit here, they feel very much a part of the operation, but they're separated from the day-to-day running of the master control. I think they're the key things. We can take a quick walk through there if you like, and then we'll walk upstairs. Anyone have any quick questions before we start?
What would happen if this facility became unavailable?
So there are a number of different disaster recovery scenarios. We have, firstly, there are multiple paths in and out of the operation. For some services, even if this operation were to become unavailable, services would still be delivered to via a diverse path to some of our customers. That's not true in all cases. In terms of resilience of this operation itself, it's a very resilient operation. It's a level 4, tier 4 data center. So we have multiple power, multiple entry points for feeds as aircon, so a highly redundant facility. But in terms of paths, we have paths that go through Paddington, paths that go through Oxford Falls as well, and we branch out to some of our customers from there.
But if the monitoring facility became unavailable, could you replicate the function somewhere else?
It can be done, yes. Yeah.
So, Paul,
And in
can I
fact,
talk about the abstracting?
Yeah. So one of the things, one of the advantages of what we've tried to do here is, and I guess this is the first stage of what we're trying to do. This control room is actually abstracted from the equipment quite deliberately, so that we can actually pick up or create this control room anywhere in the world where required. Now, that's the first step in what we're trying to do, which is to create a facility that allows us to control from anywhere across the world or anywhere across the continent. So we've actually taken into account what you're suggesting, which is the ability to be able to control from multiple places. Is that?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So does this facility handle a lot of international customers currently, or would you need to have another facility in Europe or Asia, the US, if you really wanted to branch out globally?
So yes, we do. We probably deal with the top 10, multiple international customers, the top 10 international broadcasters, and we have partnerships with facilities in LA and in London as well.
And so these MCRs operate on an operational level already, connected to London, LA, New York already,
Hong Kong.
and
Hong Kong,
with those facilities. And so and that's it's almost a comfort thing for broadcasters to know that if the content's coming from London, in the case of B Sky B, that there's switching and monitoring facilities happening in London. And so whilst we could choose to just run all operations specifically from this location globally, we actually continue to work with the industry around how they want the services delivered. There's no doubt though, as technology matures, perhaps the concept of multiple MCRs all scattered around different parts of the globe, will change over time.
We'll do a quick walk around and then we'll come back for Q&A.
Yep.
The global aspirations you had, I'm just wondering, we just had one Olympics, there's another one coming up in our time zone. So do you see that as a driver for expansion?
Absolutely. In fact, special events are a key opportunity for us globally. And in fact, the Globecast business already had a substantial international flavour to their business. So we're already supporting a lot of international customers and international opportunities. And combined with Telstra's existing business in international special events, Telstra's supported a number of special events historically already, providing content transport from the venues back to centralised production or studio, or even just broadcast feeds and the like, over the last couple of years, but we definitely see it as a great opportunity for further growth. And in particular, owning the fibre assets is a very strong differentiator for a provider in that market to be able to transport that content cost effectively and efficiently for broadcasters and the sporting rights holders as well.
And is this still, do you still have a working arrangement with the remainder of Globecast?
Yes, we do actually. So we have a very strong ongoing partnership with Globecast. So that business still exists in the rest of the world. We only acquired the Australian assets, and yeah, we've got a good working relationship with Globecast. And in fact, you know, we work with each other around mutual opportunities across different parts of the world.
It's not an exclusive relationship though, so so we certainly have a close relationship, but it's not an exclusive one.
Could be the quickest Q&A.
What I still don't fully understand is what actual services you provide to the broadcasters. That's a naive question, but what does it actually offer the broadcasters, this facility?
This facility
Yeah.
here, well, it's a combination of different things, but first of all, a lot of the content that is coming into that the broadcasters themselves are distributing to their viewers
Yes.
comes through this facility.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of the content is international content,
Yeah.
and we are bringing that content in for the broadcasters. So we're doing the content transport might be from London or Europe, North America, Asia, wherever it might be. It might be local content, it might be from satellite, it might be from an event or a venue. We are bringing that content into this facility and then transporting it across our networks.
Right.
And so we're monitoring and switching that content on behalf of the broadcaster to their properties or infrastructures, or on behalf of them.
So this would be content that's either going straight through live to air, or content like news content that they're going to edit and put out that day, basically.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so a classic example might be a satellite event where we would send an SNG van, satellite on the top, satellite dish on the roof of the van. That would be sort of camera, the content captured by the camera ultimately connects into that SNG truck, and then is uplinked to a satellite, back to a downlink. This facility manages that entire switching process by collaborating with the broadcaster around getting that content into their hands at the right time, at the right quality and format.
So like all the content that the news services have, like from Al Jazeera and obviously news feeds that they put in every night, that would come through here. So a lot of that would come through.
Correct.
So do you have a mechanism then that they can sort of that they can browse and decide what content they want? I mean, how do you actually, how does actual delivery fit in with the decisions to get the content?
Well, we will only contract to parties that have the appropriate licenses and have the rights to the content.
Oh yeah, sure.
So effectively,
well, what I mean is, if SBS wants, they see all these news clips on Al Jazeera or something, and they say we want that one, we want that one.
Yeah.
How do you play in that sort of actual selection mechanism? How do you just deliver it?
we will deliver it on behalf of the broadcaster.
So they have some other system for deciding.
Correct.
What they want.
So they themselves will generally manage the selection of the content and access or rights to the content, and then we will help them transport that content.
Right.
We'll manage the content on that part of the life cycle.
We have a 24/7 bookings group though, who just sit just over there. So if one of the broadcasters wants to get a piece of content in, they can come through our booking department, organise it. My guys will then switch it up and bring it in for them.
So for example, if it's something they don't have a regular system in place for, they're going to make phone calls to people and say, we want this bit of content, and they can call you up and then get that fed through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where the news is going to come from.
No, that's right, yeah.
But like Al Jazeera is a classic example. They'll have an agreement. So most of the broadcasters will have an agreement with Al Jazeera. We'll get that content in and then play that off to where it needs to go to.
So having said that, Stuart, I mean, that is one of the areas where there is some industry duplication, because many of the broadcasters themselves have their own facilities that are doing some of those services today, particularly with respect to news gathering. The live nature of that's very critically important to the broadcasters, and so some of that they continue to manage themselves. Other content access, they might work with third parties such as ourselves. So, but there is duplication there, and perhaps over time these are opportunities that will be explored.
I suppose if you can convince them you can deliver the sort of immediacy and efficiency they need at a cheaper cost by outsourcing it, they might look to using you.
Yeah.
So the OTT facility you mentioned in the metro area, is that cheap over at
No. It's a head-end facility, so it's infrastructure. So we would pass content from this facility or others into that head end in the right format, and then it will be fed out to over the IP network. So it's another sort of exchange facility that we have in the greater CBD area.
But Chief is another important asset as part of our portfolio. For those who don't know, Chief is out at Artarmon. It's effectively a outsourced studio capability where we can effectively do mixing and studio activity. It's in the sort of Fox building there at Artarmon. So we integrate with that facility so we can effectively do that part of the value chain as well as the distribution and management part that we can do from here. So for those who don't know, Chief, it's important other asset for our customers.
And so they focus on production and post-production, actual preparation of the content itself. So if you look at really what we're doing here, we're not doing so much content preparation, actually massaging the content and overlaying graphics and the like. That's really the domain of producers and companies like Chief. We also have a studio, state-of-the-art studio just up in the office at 400 George Street there, which is also connected through this facility, and opportunities for us to leverage that and offer that for a more end-to-end service.
Why build this thing here rather than at 400 George?
Good question, Paul.
So there's a couple of good reasons. One is that 400 George is not designed as a 24/7 data center operation. So air conditioning power doesn't have those levels of redundancy. We were targeting an area or a facility that was very much a high reliability, high availability facility. There are a number of those through the CBD area, but this one suited our environment perfectly. And also, so not just a data center, but also a center that we can build an operational facility into that's staffed 24/7. So many data centers don't have an operational arm to them. This facility does.
You're handling some content for Foxconn. I'm just wondering, going forward, I'm aware they're going to move at some point. Do you see you guys taking on more of this sort of functionality that they might be currently doing and bringing it in here, or how do you see that going?
It's a good question, Phil. Not at liberty to discuss individual customer opportunities or what's happening in the market. So I'll probably won't respond.
But the capacity's there.
These are the opportunities that the market is presenting, and obviously you've named one example there. The whole industry is looking at how do they make, well, many of the broadcasters do have impending requirements for substantial investment in technology. And so they're all looking at what is the most effective way to deliver those technology outcomes in their business. And with talk of industry consolidation and sharing, I call it a more mature approach to sharing of infrastructure, that the executives of the broadcasters are publicly stating. Obviously, this facility offers a great opportunity.
And the maturity of that change in the industry is variable geographically around the world. So we see pockets of opportunity where that will happen sooner rather than later, where we'll create some potential opportunities for Telstra when we utilise then the rest of what we've purchased, whether it be the PacNet acquisition and so forth, that gives us scale in certain regions to provide further support beyond the Australian market. So obviously we talk a lot about the Australian market here, but we definitely see opportunities for this broader than our domestic region.
What about the area of play out? So where you've got operators like Media Hub or Deluxe, do you see capacity there for offering those sorts of services?
Absolutely, and in fact we are collaborating with the industry around what does future play out look like. Once again, won't be able to talk too much about specifics, but there are clearly opportunities around play out and other sort of broadcast specific applications that sit alongside play out that we believe that TPS can participate in.
And higher resolution video formats. Where does
Bring it on.
Yeah, so we've built the facility with you know, the advanced resolutions and formats in mind. And part of our architectural design allows you know, much higher bandwidth to be managed through the facility.
So yeah. So are you 8K ready?
Sorry?
Are you 8K ready?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Well, we think we're a little bit away from it in the
Yeah.
Australian marketplace, but
Sure.
yes, we have built a facility with those targets in mind.
We've future-proofed as much as we can. And I guess when we talk about when we think of the state-of-the-art of this facility, we do think this is one of the most future-proofed facilities in the world.
How much bandwidth is coming in to the facility? Terabit?
Oh,
Don't know that we-
probably that. I don't know.
we
If
can
you
give
know
an
the
exact
calculation
answer
on
on
that.
that. It's probably a good question we can take on notice.
Sure, I'm just curious. I mean,
Yeah.
you're Telstra, you've got all the bandwidth you need.
Yeah.
So there's probably no lack of bandwidth in this building.
You're absolutely right. There is a significant amount of bandwidth.
I mean,
Available coming into the
This could be a control centre for the NBN. You might speed up the operations.
But I think when you said leveraging our core,
Yeah.
I think you're touching on why the leveraging of the core is the value of this business.
Yeah.
Because video is, you know, taking over the universe, and the higher definitions, the better for capacity, and therefore, the infrastructure behind that is a real value for us. So.
I can tell you a funny story. This is the original Dr. Exchange building, which is why it's obviously can support the critical infrastructure. And at our customer opening a little while ago, one of the CEOs of one of the major broadcasters here had a quiet chuckle with me because he was mentioning that his mother worked in this building as a telecoms operator for 30 years. And he come in as a 10-year-old and so almost a little bit of sentimentality that we're still in this building but taking it to the next generation.
Terrific. Well, if there aren't any further questions, thanks. for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
There is a link on that fact sheet to images that you can use. I think there are 80 images Bridie mentioned, so there's plenty of choice there. And if you need any further information, you should have my details.